Right, we've got Strickland versus Dricus 2. It's a fight we kind of know we should be having, even though we feel like we want the Khamzat fight. In fairness, Strickland should have got the rematch, but then Izzy came in with his Dana White doggy daycare privilege and stole the rematch. Fine for us, it was a good fight, but now Strickland gets what he was promised. And in fairness, let's be honest, Khamzat's going to disappear, go away, sell some crypto, and come back in a year or so anyway. And in reality, I'm sure Dana is working on some Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi type card that's going to have Khamzat versus the winner of this later in the year. So we're all going to get what we want. But right now, this is the fight coming up. So let's have a little look at it. What do we know? We know Strickland's going to come in, he's going to be promising violence, and they're going to kill each other for you guys and all this bullshit. This time, not going to fly quite as well, because one of the problems that Strickland has is having a 2D personality. When the broad MMA casuals discover you for the first time, it's all fun and games. But then after they've seen you do the same trick a couple of times with not really any new material, it all starts getting a little bit boring. So I've got a funny feeling the audience may even turn on Strickland in this press build-up. And another thing we know is that Dricus is going to go in there and fight all ugly and horrible like a pulled muscle and somehow do really well. Those are facts. But there's something different about this fight, as I probably promised in the thumbnail and title. Now I'm pretty sure, certainly in the UFC, Dricus has never had a rematch. Now that might not seem like a big deal, but actually it is a really big deal. Because what do we hear about Dricus? Like, we always hear he's got a really difficult style to work out, or everyone, because it's so ugly, underestimates his style and thinks, oh, it's so basic, it's so simple, he's just aggressive and he has these bursts. I'll be able to work this out. And then they get in there and it's all a lot more complicated than it seems when you're watching it. But so far, everyone, including most of the audience, have thought the same thing every time he has a fight. But I think it's time to accept that he's very technical with great game plans, and it just looks ugly. I think most of us are caught up to date with that, but if not, catch up. But anyway, the point is, with someone that has a really difficult to work out style, a rematch is going to be so valuable for us as an audience. And not just that, but out of everyone, we've got Strickland, who has Eric Nixick in his corner, who is an incredible coach and amazing game strategist. So it won't be some delusional team just building their fighter up saying, you can do it, you had a bad night, all this bullshit. These guys will go back to basics, break down footage, work out game plan, realistically look at what went wrong. And Sean Strickland will go in there with a game plan after having a full fight with Dricus. Now that is valuable. Is Strickland the best person to go in there with that? No, probably not. Because if nothing more, Strickland doesn't always follow game plans. He often comes out of the fight saying, oh, I was meant to be doing this, but I just did that. Yes, it's very funny, well done. But we want to see the best fight. Do what you're told. We also hear Strickland talking about the fact that he's aware that he leaves it in the hands of the judges too much. And he knows he's got to be more aggressive and finish fights. This sounds great, but when you look at his style and the fact that he's been talking like this for a few fights now, it doesn't really seem to be manifesting. So the problem is, if Eric Nixick comes up with this brilliant master plan of of all these little holes and gaps and ways to work out Dricus and beat him, is Strickland just going to go in there and jab and teep kick and just do what he always does? The odds are looking good for that. I mean, the main things, in fairness, that Strickland's going to have an answer for is Dricus' explosive bursts. Strickland is one of the best defensive fighters in the division, if not in the UFC. But that's just half the game. That just gets you to a decision all over again. How was the first fight? I watched it back. I remembered it being more boring, but it was actually a pretty entertaining technical battle. And it was extremely close, but I do think Dricus won that fight. Who's improved more since the last fight? I mean, it's got to be Dricus, hasn't it? All we did is we just watched Sean Strickland he complained and highlighted all the mistakes that he made, and then he went and had a fight with Paulo Costa and just did the same thing again. So has he learned nothing? Do you know what I mean? Whereas Dricus went on to fight the doggy bag and looked brilliant. Handled his own on the feet and in the end dominated him on the ground. I mean, if you look at who beat Izzy better, you'd have to say technically Dricus did. It was shorter, it was more exciting. I'd say that was better. The Strickland fight with Izzy was basically just the absolute best version of a Strickland fight. And maybe that is the best Strickland fight we're ever going to see. If Strickland can't reinvent his approach, it ain't going to go well for him, is it? The fight will likely stay on the feet. Dricus seems to like to test the wrestling, but Strickland just has really good takedown defense and good defensive wrestling. And I think that Dricus will think that he's got an advantage, probably rightly so, on the feet. So I think he'll just be happy to just leave it on the feet. I'm sure he'll mix it in just to give Strickland something to think about. But I would imagine, like last time, we're mostly going to be watching a stand-up striking battle. Both have got great cardio, so that's void. Personally, I kind of feel like the safe money would be on Dricus. But then who would be best for the UFC and for the division to win? Well, I think we all know the answer to that one. Basically, whoever wins is going to be fighting Khamzat in summer. Who would you rather see fight Khamzat? I know we'd have a bit of fun with Sean in this press conference, and I'm sure that a Sean versus Khamzat press conference would be brilliant. It would probably be the best value. But, and actually, no, I take that back. Dricus versus Khamzat press conference would probably be even better, because Dricus is just a master at that sort of stuff. I guarantee I wouldn't be surprised if Dricus has Khamzat crying. Tell me you can't see it. Khamzat, well easy to wind up, clear, or you've only got to say something and he starts screaming and shouting, he kill everybody. Dricus has already been throwing in stuff about the dictator and about the cold and all that. That's going to get messy, mate, I tell you. But for the division, for the sport, for the fans, it's obviously better for us if Dricus wins. I like them both, but you've got to be rooting for Dricus just for the entertainment value after. I'm pretty sure, I know that Strickland's got really good takedown defense, but I'm pretty sure that Khamzat is ultimately just going to drag him down and abuse him. That was a bad choice of words. Moving on. But Dricus, big, strong, wrestly, strange, unpredictable style. I can see that as a really interesting fight. That's a fight I really want to watch. That could be one of the most, bar Jones and Aspinall, that could be one of the most eagerly anticipated fights of next year. I mean, tell me in the comments a fight that you think would be better than that. But we've got to appreciate these active champions while they're here. I mean, let's face it, a Khamzat champion would be a fucking nightmare. I can't see him fighting more than once a year. He's only going to fight in Saudi Arabia. It's going to be carnage. I mean, the fights would be fun. It'll be one of those things where be careful what you wish for. It'll be the dark ages of that division. But anyway, for the reasons stated, this is going to be more interesting than it seems on the face of it. And I don't know about you, can't wait for it. Anyway, if you like this video, give us a sub. Check out its playlist of recent bangers. See you next time.